Let's talk about something that affects millions of people's vision. Age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. It's that condition that blurs what's right in front of you, making it tough to read, or drive, or even see the faces of people you love. It is the #1 reason older adults lose their sight. Now, for a long time, people just thought, well, that's just getting old, nothing you can do. But what if that's totally wrong? Let's dig in.
So here's the big question. Is it inevitable? Do we really just have to accept that our vision will fade as the years go by? Well, a whole wave of new science is taking a hard look at that old belief, and the answer it's giving us is a resounding no.
You see, the old way of thinking was pretty grim. It basically said AMD was just a roll of the dice. Either you had bad genes or you were just unlucky. But what the new science is showing us is, well, it's incredibly empowering. It turns out the biggest factor in whether you lose your vision isn't your genetic lottery ticket, it's the choices you make every single day.
Okay, so to really get why this is such a game changer, we have to understand the sheer scale of AMD. This isn't some rare thing. It's a huge public health challenge affecting people all across the globe.
By the year 2040, it's projected that nearly 300 million people worldwide will be living with AMD. I mean, just stop and think about that number for a second. That's an enormous number of people, and it really highlights why figuring out how to prevent this is so unbelievably urgent.
So if lifestyle is the key, where do we even start? Well, let's begin with the single biggest, most destructive habit we can change, the #1 environmental threat to your eyesight.
And that threat? It's smoking. What's so wild is just how clear the connection is when you look at it like this. See how the risk just climbs and climbs as you go from non-smokers to heavy smokers? It's what scientists call a dose-response relationship. The more you smoke, the higher your risk. It's a straight line.
And the numbers, they're pretty brutal. Current smokers face a 2 to 4 times higher risk of getting AMD compared to people who've never smoked. Let that sink in. Outside of just getting older, smoking is the most powerful and consistent risk factor that we know of, period. And here's the real kicker. Quitting absolutely helps. It's the best thing you can do. But the damage has a long tail. It can take a full 20 years after you stop smoking for your risk level to finally drop back down to the same level as a non-smoker. It's just a powerful reminder that the best plan is to never even start.
Okay, so we've talked about the #1 villain. Now let's talk about the heroes, the positive, proactive things you can do to actually build a defense for your sight. And it all starts with your diet and your daily activity.
Study after study keeps pointing to one style of eating as being amazingly protective for our eyes, the Mediterranean diet. And look, it's not about finding one magic superfood. It's about the whole pattern. You've got those anti-inflammatory healthy fats from fish and olive oil. You've got powerful antioxidants from leafy greens and all sorts of plants. It's how all these foods work together that really makes the difference.
And the results are pretty stunning. We're talking about a massive 41% reduction in the risk of developing advanced AMD for people who stick closely to a Mediterranean-style diet. 41%. Now hold on to that number for just a second.
Because get this, the benefit from regular physical activity is almost identical. People who stay active have a 41% lower risk of late-stage AMD compared to people who don't. It's amazing, right? Moving your body is just as powerful as what you put on your plate.
So, how in the world does exercise help your eyes? It sounds a little strange, but one of the key reasons is a protein called BDNF. When you get your body moving, you produce more of it. It actually travels to your eye and acts like fertilizer for your retina. It helps your light-sensing cells, your photoreceptors, stay strong and healthy. So, we've got our 3 big lifestyle factors: not smoking, eating well, and staying active. We've seen that each one is a heavyweight champion on its own. But what happens when you combine them? Well, that's where things get really incredible. It really boils down to this simple 3-part formula for protecting your sight. Don't smoke, eat a healthy diet, live an active life. These are the 3 pillars that hold up the health of your retina. And here it is, the punchline. When you stack all 3 of these healthy habits together, the protective effect just goes through the roof. People who do all 3 have a 71% lower chance of developing AMD compared to people who do none of them. 71%! That's an astonishing amount of control. Now, I know what you might be thinking. That's all great, but what about my family? What if AMD runs in my family and I have high-risk genes? That is a fantastic question. And you know what? the science has a really hopeful answer. This chart just says it all. Look at that top row. If you have high genetic risk and an unhealthy lifestyle, your odds are more than 4 times higher. Ouch! But now look at that second row. Same high genetic risk, but this time with a healthy lifestyle. And those odds, they drop significantly. You can't change your genes, that's true, but you can absolutely change how much they matter.
I love this quote from the research because it just nails it. Your genes load the gun, but your lifestyle pulls the trigger. Think about that. Your DNA might set the stage. It might create a vulnerability, but it's your daily choices, what you eat, if you smoke, how you move, that ultimately decide whether or not that risk ever becomes reality.
So, what this all means is that the power is really in your hands. Losing your vision to AMD is not a done deal. It's not inevitable. And that leaves us with one last question. This isn't about changing your entire life by tomorrow morning. It's about starting somewhere. So what's the one choice you can make today to start investing in a future you can see?